Hey, what's going on? It is right now 6 p.m., 1800 my time, 6 p.m. for civilian folk. I like to say that. Want to make sure that as we come on, you have received my message. You're receiving this stream. Um, I want to give time to my queen, who is always with me, Eleanor, to give me a thumbs up for clarity, to make sure that I can be heard very well, and I'm also on the stream itself because my streams are, it seems like, not streaming out to the proper platforms. And if that's so, I need to, I'm getting it straight as best I can. I've done invitations. I'm giving uh, each and every available forum its time and due as a candidate for District 52. So today's forum is the educational piece. We're going to be dealing with the educational forum. I want to first, again, before I get started, see if we are clear with the stream. My queen, Miss Eleanor, let me know if she can hear me. And as you come on, let me know I'm clear. I'm not jockeying with the voice, or make sure you can hear me clear is what I'm saying. So whether you're joining me live, whether you're joining me afterwards, I just want to make sure it's a good experience. I know when I watch any kind of live, I want to always make sure that I'm being able to be heard, or I can hear, and it's a good experience because most of the time when people are on live, they don't know because they're just talking and they think they're coming through clear because we don't know. That's how live goes. Again, thank you for whenever you join, whenever you see this. Today, of course, I call it Real Talk. Typically, that's my Real Talk during the week, to come back during the week and talk about what we talked about on Sunday. So I mislabeled it, but it's still an educational piece, and that's really right up my alley. When we talk about the educational piece, I am a lifelong learner. I want to always be that. I never want to stop learning for my own peace, my own understanding, my own wisdom. So because of what I believe is when you stop learning, you die, not physically, just things shut down. And if you can't learn something new every day from someone new, that's when I believe the wisdom stop, the understanding stop. I mean, you can't be a pro or an expert at everything. I know we got a lot of people out there that's like that, but I'll tell you, there's nothing new under the sun. That's what 1 Corinthians 10:13 says. There's nothing new under the sun. So we don't create anything. We might recreate it. It may sound good, may look good, smell good, but it's nothing new. It's just things that we're just experiencing. Let's put it that way. But no one can say, I don't believe in experts. That's just my own opinion. As a doctor now in education, I know a lot about education. I'm an expert in it. However, I don't know everything. So I can tell you a lot, but I also can learn a lot. So that piece of education, I want to label it our students in their future. Our schools with our students in their future, which is our future. So I can say our schools, our students, our future. We need to invest in them, however that looks, and look at holding people accountable. Now, as I shared with numerous of times on different pages, different places, to engage voters in District 52 and anyone that wants to hear their candidate that's running, that's going to represent them in the House of Representatives. I will say when it's too late after June the 9th to begin to start complaining. June 9th is primary, and then it's definitely in November. It's too late if you run polls at another party. Right now in this district, we have 3 candidates, me being one, running for South Carolina House District 52, Richland Kershaw. there's no opponent on the Republican side or independent side. Not sure if there'll be a write-in. Don't know. The competition needs to be there because the representation needs to be for everybody. So when we talk about everything that we talk about, which is today education, that educational piece is for everybody. I don't think one school has one particular party going to that school. Can I say that? And most of them students could care less anyway. But their parents who send them to that school have always okay, absolutely. So Facebook is not seems to be not up and running again. YouTube is on. Sweetheart, check. Okay, so I didn't put the Full of Grace Worship Center. I put that on YouTube. That's why it's up. That is something on me. Again, I'm gonna get this straight. It is frustrating trying to do live, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, Miss Eleanor, I'm probably gonna shut down this live on StreamYard and go totally live on Facebook. If you come back and let me know that we're not live on Facebook, I think I would much rather be live on Facebook. So I think that will touch a bit more people. So if you cannot see us live on Facebook right now, I think I'm gonna shut this down, StreamYard down, and look at Facebook. So could you give me an understanding? So you say you're still looking for live on Facebook, and I'm gonna do it right now. As I'm live with you, I like to be able to just to get out to everybody. That's available to be getting out to. People come and go. If it's something that they want to hear, they'll get on. But I want to make sure that we are able to be seen by everybody. So as I wait for you, I'm gonna be doing the same thing here. I don't see. I don't see anything right now on Facebook either. I'm not seeing. It says we're live. Yeah, it's on Facebook. Yeah, but okay. So my page is live. All right. So let me keep going. I'll stay here. I'm gonna stay here and make sure that I get this piece. I probably won't stay on, but about 15, 20 minutes real quickly to throw out some things that I wanted to talk about. And what I wanted to do is listen, because this is a listening tour. Again, engagement is paramount. Engagement from constituents. Again, if you know someone that's in this district, someone that votes in District 52, forward this to them so they can hear a platform that they want to hear, and hopefully choose to hear. If not, I mean, we can do but so much. There's a lot of signs going up, a lot of signs that says whatever it says, but really don't know the platform of everybody. That's why in every meeting I share with everybody, do your research. My website is patrickltate.com. info@patrickltate.com is the email. You can contact me. It's early voting coming May 26th. May 26th starts your early voting for the state of South Carolina. Don't wait, vote Tate. Vote early, and then congratulate Tate. So don't wait to stand in a long line. Get out early. Don't wait, vote Tate. Because the platform that I'm going to share with you as we go through these virtual meetings is going to show you the background that an individual is going to need to sit in that seat. They're going to need to know a great deal of things from A to Z. And when we present things to constituents, I believe, my personal opinion, when you say a thing and you share your resume, I think there needs to be some verification on that resume. So let me put it like this. I don't know how you select your doctor, your dentist, or whomever. However, most of the time when you go into an office, that office and that person's, I know my dentist does. I go to the VA mostly. They may not have it in their office, but I know they're certified because they have to be through the VA. But my own personal doctors that I've gone to, they always have their credentials on their wall. That means they want to be verified. They want to make sure you know what school they graduated from and they are doing the job that they're supposed to do. I think that should be a background check, if you will, for anyone running for an office, because we get caught up not understanding anybody's resume because, number one, it's mostly on us, because I use me, not me because I do it, but I use me because it's us, mostly on us to do our research, which we don't do. However, it would be incumbent on the individual to be truthful when they share their resume. That's not always possible. People skirt their resumes. And when they skirt their resume, it sounds good until it doesn't, and until you find out that that's not accurate. I would ask anybody that's looking to vote for me, Dr. Patrick L. Tate, to look at my background, to do your research, and really dig to make sure you're voting for the individual that you feel that's best for the job. You don't know me, you will know. The majority of you, 90% of you, of my voters, will never know me, especially if they're Republicans or independent, because they get to vote in the primary but not the general, and some of them possibly could care less. However, my heart is to represent the full District 52. So let's get into it. Again, I'm gonna take another 15 minutes. I'm gonna be out the hair. If you know someone this impacts, forward this to them. Educational piece, dealing with our students. I first want to start with, we hear what I've heard. Let me say this. Let me back up and say, the reason I say this is my wheelhouse is because I am a certified educator in the state of South Carolina. I have been in education, some form of fashion, since 1995 when I got out of the U.S. military, U.S. Navy. So this is a piece that I know. So when people say, well, I've gone around and talked to teachers and this is what teachers are telling me. Well, I'll tell you, I talked to probably not the same teachers, if you will. That's if you actually spoke to teachers, but I've talked to educators as well, because I deal with them every day. I am that. On the middle school level, high school level, I've been an educator, and my track is to take me to the college level here soon, possibly this fall. So I believe I'm qualified to speak for teachers, the general amount of teachers of what is needed, what we desire, what they desire, because I'm not in the classroom now running. I will be when I win, and plus sit as a professor at a local HBCU. So what I would genuinely say to my opponents and other constituents when they want to possibly say this is the number one reason why teachers are either frustrated or leaving the classroom, and what most of them say is because they feel like they're frustrated and they need help. That's what I heard from the past couple of meetings we had, that teachers are their number one priority is they don't feel help, and they don't feel like they are being heard from the administration and whoever. Now, although that is a concern, but I can tell it, and you can do the research yourself. And again, I can speak to it because I am that, which is a teacher. That's not our number one concern. The number one concern, which it is all the time, that's why the state legislators are always griping about it every year, and every state is griping about it every year. Every district and county are fighting one another for them. And with charter schools coming in doing the same thing, and that's pay. The number one thing with educators in K-12 and some professors, or not, if not a lot of professors, and that's pay. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I think that's a fight that's gonna always be. I don't think any and everybody's gonna always be satisfied with where they are and how much they're getting paid. However, when we talk about that, we talk about the teacher pay and retention. We can have that conversation, and every year we can talk about I'm fighting for teachers and retaining teachers and putting pay and raising pay. Well, let me start with this because it's about math again, which I have a master's in business. So when you raise the pay of a teacher, which South Carolina just did, the state legislature are looking to go with $50,500 as a base pay. And that sounds good. However, we still haven't taxed any kind of tax. So if the starting pay was $48,200 last year, and that first year teacher that's coming in right now is getting paid with 0 years, $50,500. Well, the taxes doesn't change, if you will. You're in another tax bracket. Now you're paying higher taxes. So I want you to, I think we all understand that simple math. I don't believe you're going to stay at the same taxes, the state, federal, local, and whatever your municipality is going to stay, whether it's a cent, 5 cents, 20, whatever. I don't think it's going to stay the exact same when your pay changes. No matter where you're coming from, you could be coming, that'd be great. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the teachers are coming right out of college. I get it. However, there's a lot of transferring of individuals coming from outside of teacher experience, if you will. They're coming alternative ways. That's one of the ways that I came. And I want to talk about that piece a little bit down the line. But right now we're at $50,500. Now, teacher pay, great, it's up. It's not great because South Carolina within itself in certain districts, which I was in one with Lexington 1, in Lex 1, you might find a 3-2, 1,500 square feet for $350,000. In Richland 1, that same house might be 250 or 240. So, that tax bracket is where you live. So if you teach here, but have to live here, how does that make sense when you're traveling every other day or every day? You have to pinch pennies is what I'm saying. So I'm getting technical with it because we don't ever talk about that. When we're talking about teachers' pay, we need to talk about with anything, and we'll talk about this with everybody's pay, and that is how much you bring back to how much you keep in your pocket. It's not about just getting the pay. Well, if I get that pay raise, because everybody's getting it, it's just not the 0. It's the 1, 2, and 5, and 6, and 10, and 15. However, if you got 10 years in and you just got a pay raise of $2,500, whatever that looks like, whatever the General Assembly put through, then the taxes are going to hit it. Are you really getting a raise, or is that money still being taxed? So this is where I am on my platform. My platform first, one of the things I want to do is sit down and have that collaborative conversation with teachers like myself. What impacts you the most? Because as a coach as well, you're talking about certain districts that pay this coach at a high school level plus 10, and then get a separate pay as a head football, basketball coach. I've worked in Greenville County, Lex County. I know the district. I've been in Mississippi. I've been in Florida. I've been in Texas. So different states do it differently. In Texas, there's a head football coach with 5 years, 6, 7 years. Is if they're not at 6 figures, they're close. That's just their coach's pay. So they have 2 different scales: a coach's pay, and the assistant coaches in Texas and some in Florida and California get paid more than regular coaches, head coaches in South Carolina. Now, that's a different beast. I understand, but what I'm trying to say, I've been, you have a candidate that's been to different places and regions that can pull from that and see what's best for the state of South Carolina, the District of 52 and in whole, so we can work with the General Assembly, meet with other House representatives, say, this is what my thought process is, and we can come together and create that. If it works for 52, let's make it work for everybody. So we got everybody on board, and that'll show you we can work together. If my plan on what I'm talking about, it just infuses the Democrats, well, it ain't gonna pass because we got a super majority in the House. It's just not gonna pass. So you're gonna need somebody that knows how, which I do with my background and my business background, to be able to go into rooms and go in to sit down with people and have an intelligent, intellectual conversation about simple math. So the simple math is that $50,500 moving in whatever location you're moving in the state of South Carolina is just not going to cut it. It won't, because charter schools, some charter schools, one down in Charleston is starting their, they see the pay, but they've already raised the pay before the state of South Carolina said they're going to raise the pay. And the reason that some charter schools and most charter schools can do that is because they already got a filtering of finances coming in from donors, mega donors. It's just like a political race. So them donors are coming in, and you're talking about residual. They're residual, and then they got large companies promoting that business, and they got large companies that's pouring into that charter school. So now that charter school can say, we're going to start at $60,000. Now that's $10,000. Who wouldn't, at $60,000 with 0 years with a bachelor's degree, move to that area and work? Now, don't get me wrong, Charleston is expensive. However, that $60,000 gets them over that threshold with the taxes until the state legislation deal with the taxes. My plan is a level plan. One of the plans that I want to introduce and have a conversation about is something that the Navy, the military does. Well, the Navy does. All branches don't do this. The Navy has, when you first come in with no experience, you're zero, you're what we call an E1 seaman recruit. You stay in that E1 rate for 9 months. You automatically go into that second year, that second 9 months. Now, this is your first 4 years. It's called 996. First 9 months, E1 to E2. Second 9 months, E2 to E3. That next E3 to E4, which we call going from seaman to petty officer, which is now somewhat of a supervisor, low middle level supervisor, because you're getting a lot of training in between that time. Now you've gone almost 2 years now. And now from E3 to E4 is 6 months, but you don't get an automatic advance from E3 to E4. You take an advancement exam. Now, I know we got a lot of teachers exams already, which, I mean, I know some people that doesn't have a certification. I started out without a certification teaching math. So I know a lot of smart, intelligent individuals that don't have certification that can teach rings around a great deal of us. So we'll deal with that down the line, dealing with certification. So that 996 gets you to that 2.5 going on 3 years. Now you're getting them evaluations. And at that time, you're on that 4-year contract, like they pretty much do now. However, it's also tied to increase in your pay. And then also in critical need area, critical need schools. Why are we asking teachers to go to critical need schools without paying them critical need? Well, we can use the same basis of the military. Again, the Navy, when we was in Shield Storm, we left in what we call in-chop the Atlantic. We went across and in-chop the Med from the Atlantic. Once we in-chop the Med, we were in what we call a red zone. So we began to get hazardous duty pay. So if you're asking teachers, whomever that is, to go to a critical need school, that may be one that's having some lower test scores or whatever that looks like. and ones that's teaching in emotional handicap, self-contained, and SPED and them type of things. They need that pay. They need an increase, and it shouldn't be just a small amount. We're talking about what is it worth. That's the conversation that we need to have in the state legislation. What's the amount where we're going to pay individuals that with an assistant, and we'll get on that as well, to go in these critical needs schools. Now that's critical pay. So now we are talking about possibly someone that's going on their third or fourth year, looking for an advancement in pay, and also an advancement if they accept a position at a critical needs school in a critical area. So see, there's a lot of pieces to that no one is talking about. We're just talking about raising teachers' pay. Well, when you raise just everybody's pay for $50,500, well, this person go into English and they might have English 1 and English 1 honors. Well, most of the time you're gonna have some squared away kids, if you will, most of the time. And then you got this individual going into speech pathology or speech language or ESL. That's a bit different. And going to a school that's been impacted, like an alternative school, which is you got a lot of discipline issues. So we got a lot of conversation. That's just 10 minutes that I've given you, and I'm not even off of my first bullet point dealing with teachers' pay, right? That's the conversation I want to have with educators. I'm about to close it, but I'm gonna close it really with this. I'm talking about teachers' pay and retention, school safety, career and technology, technical education, classroom discipline, literacy and math readiness, and college affordability. I'm gonna end it on that because what I want to do, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna deal with the educational forum once again because it needs more conversation. I need more time to get my platform to work like it's supposed to be doing with the amount of money that I'm paying for it. So with all of that, I'm gonna close with that. I'm gonna come back next week, next Sunday. We're gonna deal with the educational forum again. Again, if you got some individuals, especially educators that want to talk about this, this is the platform that I'm trying to use to hear everybody. Right now, I'm doing all the talking. And as most politicians, they love to do that. I really don't. I like to hear first so we can strategize a plan and put a plan together so I can put my background to that plan. I have an extensive background that bodes well to sit in a legislative seat to understand all facets of what needs to be done and how to run an organization and a district like 52. So again, I'm going to end it with that. I thank you for the small time. I'm going to come back next week, next Sunday, and we're going to deal with the educational piece again. Be blessed. Have a great rest of your evening.